Joining me now is Dr. Sinan Ciddi, Senior Fellow on Turkey at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, who has been following the regional strategy out of Turkey closely. So, how significant is this deepening alliance that we're seeing between Turkey and Qatar? And what does Erdogan hope to gain more specifically from this regionally?
I mean, look, the relationship's already pretty significant in its existing. Turkey has a very significant and large military base in Qatar. And the two countries obviously are seeking to backdoor their way into Gaza as sort of peacekeepers, as guarantor states into the post-ceasefire negotiations, as sort of the creators of the two-state solution, so to speak. But as you correctly stated, this has been strongly opposed by the Israelis. And what we're hearing is essentially that the Netanyahu government is, calling upon, and not just Netanyahu, but other Gulf states such as the Saudis, as well as the Emiratis, I'm hearing, are calling upon the United States to stop humoring Erdogan and Qatar because they do not trust their involvement inside of Gaza as guarantor states in any meaningful shape, simply because they fear that Turkey and Qatar's involvement is only going to embolden, but moreover, probably going to rearm and resupply and re-empower what's left of Hamas. So that there's a sort of great big tug of war here.
Right. Well, with Netanyahu publicly rejecting any Turkish role in Gaza, how much diplomatic capital does Turkey really have left in the ceasefire process?
Well, you would think not very much, but obviously what we're seeing is that the Trump administration in Washington is humoring Erdogan quite significantly, and this has become a problem. And that's already yielded some results because we're seeing one of Turkey's sort of, I'm going to put it in air quotes, humanitarian relief foundation, the IHH, which has tenuous links to the Muslim Brotherhood. It was behind the flotilla back in 2010. It has tenuous links to Hamas too. And, they're already on the ground with some of the rubble cleanup in Gaza. And obviously, Turkey would like more access. And, it is gaining some traction in that respect, and it would like to gain more. And the Trump administration is receptive to Turkey because you've heard Trump say over and over again that the ceasefire deal would not have been possible without Erdogan's direct input. And so, Turkey does seem to have quite a bit of leverage right now, but obviously it very much depends upon how much, this is going to be resisted with further inputs from more regional allies and how much they get through to Trump.
Now, just looking at Erdogan's broader Gulf tour, how does this fit into his long-term goal of positioning Turkey as a leading power in the Middle East again?
Well, Turkey is seeking to essentially, accentuate and highlight its role as a major security partner and military partner of Qatar. They're also seeking to sort of secure more energy deals and transition or transform Turkey into a regional energy hub. They're seeking to sign more natural gas and oil deals with the Gulf states, specifically the Kuwaitis, the Omanis, and the already existing deals with the Qataris. And they would like to transport more of their energy to Europe and bypass Russia. Turkey is also seeking to purchase more fighter jets. We're now learning from the Qataris, specifically Eurofighter jets, which are used because you cannot acquire those from the United States. But also, Turkey's basically saying, look, we are a major stabilizing actor inside of Syria, and we will continue to do so. And he's basically escalating sort of rhetoric saying to the world, specifically to Israel, look, uphold the ceasefire deal. Otherwise, he's literally said to the Netanyahu government, you're a goner, quote. And, he's not shying away from this escalatory and threatening language. And so far, there has been no repercussions. So Erdogan is managing to keep himself very relevant. And we should also not forget that Erdogan's still offering Turkey up as a major sort of mediator in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, even though Turkey doesn't seem to have been able to offer too much in that respect so far.
All right. I'd like to thank you so much for joining us. Very interesting to hear your insight.